Morning, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting. Today is May 20th. Before we get started, we do have 4 public hearings. So with that, clerk, can you read the notice for Bill 2993, please?
Notice is hereby given that the Kauaʻi County Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter in the council chambers, 4396 Rice Street, room 201, and meeting room 106 in the Historic County Building in Lihue on Bill number 2993, a bill for an ordinance to amend ordinance number B 2025-905 as amended relating to the operating budget of the County of Kauaʻi, State of Hawaii for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, by revising the amounts estimated in the general fund. This is for general liability and auto claims and the health fund contribution. This bill proposes to provide funding for general liability and automobile claims resolved by the Office of the County Attorney, and to provide the additional funding for the health fund contribution accounts of the Office of the County Attorney and the Planning Department.
Is there anyone registered to speak?
Chair, we have no registered speakers and also no written testimony.
Anyone in the audience wishing to testify on Bill 2993? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Can we have the notice for 2994, please?
Notice hereby given that the Kauaʻi County Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter in the Historic County Building in the Council Chambers, room 201, and in meeting room 106 on Bill number 2994, a bill for an ordinance approving a collective bargaining agreement for bargaining unit 11 between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2029. This bill proposes to approve the cost items in the collective bargaining agreement for the Hawaii Firefighters Association Bargaining Unit 11 for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2029, based on an arbitrated award and in accordance with procedures contained in Hawaii Revised Statute Sections 89-11 and Kauaʻi County Charter Section 1913B.
Thank you. Any testimony, remote testimony, written testimony?
No testimony.
Anyone in the audience wishing to testify on Bill number 2994? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Can you read the notice for 2995, please?
Notice hereby given that the Kauaʻi County Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter in the Council Chambers, 4396 Rice Street in room 201 and in meeting room 106 on Bill number 2995, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 5A Kauaʻi County Code 1987 as amended relating to real property tax. This bill proposes to amend Section 5A-11A.1 Kauaʻi County Code 1987 as amended to add qualifying requirements of a property to be classified as a long-term affordable rental. The bill clarifies a qualifying tenant shall be 18 years of age or older and shall reside at the dwelling unit, dwelling subject to the written lease agreement as his or her primary residence. The bill also adds language about evidence and actions to be considered by the Director of Finance and states if, during the course of any tax year, the long-term affordable rental classification is revoked, the tax classification shall be reclassified and reassessed. Taxes for those years shall be recalculated and the cap reset at the time the long-term affordable rental classification is disallowed.
Thank you. Any written testimony, remote testimony, or registered speakers?
None, Chair.
Anyone in the audience wishing to testify on Bill 2995? Seeing none, that public hearing is closed. And finally, can you read the notice for 2996, please?
Notice is hereby given that the Kauaʻi County Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. or soon thereafter in the Council Chambers, 4396 Rice Street in room 201 and in meeting room 106 on Bill number 2996, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Article 1, Kauaʻi County Code 1987 as amended relating to general provisions relating to motor vehicles and traffic regulations and related fees. This bill proposes to establish the fees related to road test applications in the county's Division of Motor Vehicles and to provide the narrow circumstances under which such fees may be refundable to the applicant. None, Chair.
Brother Actor Bruce,
I just wanted to make a comment. I've sat through a lot of council meetings this year, these public hearings. And I just want to say as a citizen that I'm concerned that no one ever comes from our community and participates. And so it's not really a message just to the council. I think that you share my concern. I wonder if people are so aware. I mean, at least I can say I'm here. I understand the issues. But I just want to encourage people. This is a voting year. We got an election coming up. Please, those out there in the community, the government can't function properly if we don't participate. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. With that, I will call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bolasan.
Here.
Councilmember Cavallo.
Here.
Councilmember Cowden.
Here.
Councilmember Holland.
Present.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Present.
Councilmember Kuli'i is on his way. Council Chair Raposo.
Here.
6 present.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item are minutes of the following meeting of the council, the April 22nd, 2026 council meeting.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next item, please.
Our next item is item on the consent calendar for receipt C2026-119.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
And this communication C2026-109, communication from the Executive on Aging requesting council approval to receive and expend state funds in the amount of $55,280 and to indemnify the State Executive Office on Aging for the provision of Aging and Disability Resource Center services, subject to the allotments to be made by the Director of Finance, State of Hawaii, pursuant to Chapter 37 Hawaii Revised Statutes for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
I just have a
So,
quick question.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Crowder.
I remember when we moved it forward, it doesn't seem like that number changed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with it, but
I guess my question is this, they're requesting an approval, right?
yeah.
This is just a memo?
She's coming up. She wants to come up for a moment.
Okay. With that, I'll suspend the rules.
Morning, Melody Lopez, Assistant Executive. So we sent an email, number 1, change to number 7. So the 55,277.
If you look at item number, agenda item 125, that would be the new document.
125.
H4.
Okay.
So this was the original memo that was deferred because of the wrong title, so the wrong amount. So if you look at item number 125, you'll see the amount has been amended to $71,000.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I was like, that's what it was before. All right. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the motion was to receive. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
On page 3, C2026-120, communication from Councilmember Bolasan and Councilmember Holland, transmitting for council consideration a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Kauaʻi County Code 1987 as amended, relating to apiaries and beekeeping.
Move to receive.
Second.
Thank you. This bill will come up later, bill number 2997, but I know there are people here that if you would like to testify now and not have to wait, we'll take your testimony now and apply it to the bill testimony. Is there anyone here that would like to testify on 2997 now?
We have 2 people that registered
For this item?
for beekeeping bill.
Okay. With that, I'll suspend the rules. Who's the first registered
The
speaker?
first registered speaker is Matt Richardson, followed by Ariel Bishop.
I'll wait.
You wait for the bill? Okay. Ariel? You, okay. With that, the motion is to receive. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-121, communication from the Director of Parks and Recreation requesting council approval of the indemnification clause contained in the State of Hawaii Department of Education request and agreement for use of school buildings, facilities, or grounds for use of the Kaua High School Gymnasium for basketball clinic provided by the University of Hawaii at Hilo men's basketball coaches.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? With that, I'll suspend the rules. Mr. Hart.
For the record, Bruce Hart.
Chair, am I mistaken, or is this one of those that you've mentioned where we're having to pay for this and the state doesn't contribute?
No, this is an indemnification to hold the state harmless to use their facility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Not, I'll call a meeting back to order. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-122, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to receive and expend recurring federal fiscal year 2027 grant funds in the amount of $135,757.65 for the impaired driving grant, and to indemnify the State of Hawaii Department of the Attorney General to reimburse up to 1,040 hours of traffic safety prosecutor position, as well as travel costs for training and meetings. The grant will cover expenses for the period October 1st, 2026 through September 30th, 2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or public testimony?
I have just a short comment. I'm just noticing all three of these are all reoccurring grants, and I've looked through it, and I'm good with all of them, so
Thank you.
just,
Anyone in the audience wishing to testify? This is simply a outside funded position for the prosecutor's office, which we appreciate. Motion is to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-123, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to receive and expend recurring federal funds in the amount of $38,815 from the Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Fiscal Year 2025 Local Solicitation Grant to support training for deputy prosecuting attorneys and Kauaʻi Police Department officers and to purchase office supplies. The grant will cover expenses for the time period October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2028.
Move to approve.
second.
Thank you. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
C2026-124, communication from the prosecuting attorney requesting council approval to apply for, receive, and expend recurring federal funds for the Domestic Violence Prosecution Unit for fiscal year 2025 Stop Violence Against Women and Formula Grant in the amount of $50,400, and to indemnify the State of Hawaii Department of the Attorney General to support a .65 full-time equivalent deputy prosecuting attorney and supplies for the anticipated period June 1st, 2026 to January 31st, 2027.
Move to approve.
Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
On page 4, C2026-125, communication from the Executive on Aging requesting council approval to receive and expend state funds in the amount of $71,607 and to indemnify the State Executive Office on Aging for the provision of Aging and Disability Resource Center services, subject to the allotments to be made by the Director of Finance, State of Hawaii, pursuant to Chapter 37, Hawaii Revised Statutes for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item are claims. C2026-126, communication from the County Clerk transmitting a claim filed against the County of Kauaʻi by Regina Kaulukukui for vehicle damage pursuant to Section 23.06 Charter of the County of Kauaʻi. And C2026-127, communication from the County Clerk transmitting a claim filed against the County of Kauaʻi by Aman Santiago for property damage pursuant to Section 23.06 Charter of the County of Kauaʻi.
Move to refer to the county attorney for disposition and report back as necessary.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or public testimony? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, please.
Next item is a bill for first reading. Proposed draft bill number 2997, a bill for an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Kauai County Code 1987 as amended, relating to apiaries and beekeeping.
Move to approve.
Second.
No, wrong.
Move to refer to the planning commission.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you. Before we call for public testimony, I would ask either of the sponsoring council members if they would like to talk about your bill.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members, for allowing us to have this on the agenda. This is a long one that we've been working on for over a year. I'll just read the purpose of this bill, and then we can just move into public testimony. So the purpose of this ordinance is to promote beekeeping in Kauaʻi County by establishing generally accepted apiary management practices for sound and sustainable beekeeping practice, and adding apiaries to the list of allowable uses in various zoning districts. Nothing in this article is intended to conflict with any state or federal law. So just a little bit of overview. We were approached by a collective of beekeepers throughout the island, and just to follow kind of what has shaped in Big Island for the last 5 years, and is shaping throughout the other islands. The goal of this ordinance or this bill is to assist beekeepers, and most importantly, to support the vital role of beekeeping that helps agriculture and native ecosystems across the island. So we hope that we have great discussion on this and get good feedback from the community, and hopefully the process is healthy and good. So, thank you.
Councilmember Ricardo?
I have a clarifying or a question, and I'm in general very supportive of this. I'm just curious though about R10 to R20, so that means 20 units per acre. So that would be probably a two-story multifamily apartment building. So typically those, have parking that consumes almost all the rest of it, and wastewater and detention, and so there's not really hardly any open space. So I looked at that one and I just went, would that mean people could have their apiary on their lanai, on the third floor or second floor? And I just wonder the wisdom of that, because then it might fly into a next neighbor's room. So I'm bringing this question up because I appreciate the quality of the testifiers that we have here that are coming in. We have real beekeepers. So I'm wanting to know what's important for them on that and, that rationale.
I can respond now.
Sure.
In first reading. In section 4, we do have a list of some guardrails to make sure that in that hypothetical scenario, we can keep everyone safe. So particularly letter M, there shall be no more than 15 honeybee hives, any lot less than 20,000 square feet, provided that upon application, the director may authorize greater amount of hives on the lot if the director finds it writing the number of additional hives will not impair the purpose of this section. And then also, and no honeybee hives shall be located within 25 feet of any property line except where flyover barriers situated. So in the scenario that you shared, there'd probably be no feasible way to have hives there.
So why do we put it in there?
We could, and that's something I would prefer to have that discussion in committee, if that's okay.
Okay, so just kind of setting that one up, because when I read M there, no more than 15 honeybee hives on a lot less than 20,000 feet, that an acre is about 45,000 feet, so that would say you could have 30 honeybee hives on a parcel that's got 20 living units in it. So that M doesn't lighten that up in any way, and then N doesn't really either, because it's not going to really affect the property line. So that's just something that I think we would want to be looking at in committee. I have plenty of bees in my yard, and I also had a child who had to have an EpiPen and Benadryl and all that for anaphylactic shock over that. So I was just really conscious of like the bees in my yard and just how an R20. So we can have that conversation in committee, but I'm wanting to just put that out really early for where there might be consideration for a dense condo set or apartment building.
Okay, any other comments before I open it up for public testimony? Just for the public's information, this bill will go across to the Planning Commission, and they will address the issues and questions there, and then it'll send us back to us with a recommendation, and that could be anywhere from a couple months to, depending how long it stays at the Planning Commission. So with that, I will suspend the rules, and the first registered speaker?
The first registered speaker is Max Richardson, followed by Ariel Bishop.
Mr. Richardson? I know you know the rules. 3 minutes. The light will turn green when you start. It'll turn yellow when you have 30 seconds, and when it's red, you'll be out of time. You'll be able to come back for a second 3 minutes after the first round of speakers go through. So with that.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. For the record, my name is Max Richardson. So why is this important for the average person, right? The average person isn't crazy enough to want to keep bees like I am. The big thing that comes to mind is honey, right? We don't really need to talk about honey. Everybody knows that honey exists. Everybody already knows whether or not they like it. Why bees are important to the average person is because, as I don't know if Ms. Bishop sent a presentation with some information on it. 1 in every 3 bites of food is affected in some way by bees, by apiculture. So plants reproduce sexually by dispersing pollen. Bees help that a lot. You can tell from looking at fruit whether it's been pollinated by pollinating insects or not, because it's way healthier if it has. Bees and butterflies can help agriculture a lot more than the crops help themselves. Now, one thing that we are always pushing, I come to a lot of these council meetings. I work for Hōʻike and I film a lot of them, so I know that we're always talking about wanting more food independence for Kauaʻi, for Hawaii as a whole, but Kauaʻi specifically, right? And we want more food security, and we want to push agriculture as much as we can, right? We want more ag, more ag, more ag, because we want more food. Having bees nearby helps that a lot. And not even saying that like a farmer needs to be a beekeeper, but if you have like a coffee plantation and a couple miles away there's a guy keeping bees in his backyard, those bees are going to help your coffee plants. Bees can fly several miles, I think, in a food-dense environment, and I might get corrected on this because I'm not an expert, but in a food-dense environment, I think they will pollinate and harvest from an area about 3 miles in radius, which would be 6 miles in diameter. So all the plants within 6 miles of that beehive are going to be benefiting greatly from the presence of bees there. And then also, honey directly contributes to food independence because, you know, I harvest a bunch of honey from my beehive, I sell it to Wailua Country Store. You can buy it from Wailua Country Store, and you know it's honey from Kauaʻi, not from California. To address, I think the biggest concern people have about bees is that they sting you, and it sucks. And I have 30 seconds. Okay, I'll come back to talk about that for my second 3 minutes, but I will say, yes, when they sting you, it sucks. But they don't sting you that often. Bees are selectively bred to be as non-aggressive as possible. So 30 seconds is longer than it seems like, but I guess I'll be done.
You don't have to use up all your time on that.
Yeah, well, I'll be done for now, and I'll come back after.
There you go. Here's your red. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Ariel Bishop.
Okay. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the council. Happy World Bee Day. That's today. So I love that this is here on the agenda. I wrote my speech so that I wouldn't forget anything, so apologize for reading it. My name is Ariel Bishop. I'm a homeowner and educator of bees, a voter, a gardener, and a beekeeper. I'm here today in strong support of this bill to allow responsible beekeeping in all zones. I'm so fortunate to be born and raised here in Kalaheo, and I started keeping bees after moving home during the pandemic. and realizing that we were missing bees from my family's yard. Growing up, our property was full of pollinators. There were bees in the fruit trees, a wild hive in the tree by the road, and life everywhere. When the bees disappeared, our gardens and food production changed too. Luckily, my family's land is ag, so I decided to get 2 hives to help pollinate our plants, and the results were practically immediate. Not just double the fruit crop, but bigger fruit too, leading to more abundance for our family and friends. Sharing is caring, right? So the experience showed me how important bees truly are to food security and the resilience of our island. Kauaʻi is also one of the last places in the world free of the devastating varroa mite, one of the primary causes of honeybee decline worldwide. That makes our bees incredibly valuable and worth protecting, because importing bees to Hawaii is illegal and has been since 1908. Bees that are here are all that we have. It's what we're depending on. So why is it important to support the individuals willing to put in the hard work and responsibility of caring for our island's bee population? Because getting stung sucks, right? So let's help these guys out. So right now, beekeeping is only allowed in ag zones, leaving much of the island off limits to beekeepers. The current permitting process is expensive and unrealistic for many everyday residents. This bill is not about putting bees everywhere or forcing beekeeping into communities. In fact, not all places are good places for keeping bees. It's simply about giving the responsible people the ability to keep bees legally and respectfully without criminalizing small-scale beekeepers, bless you, who are interested in benefiting from the medicinal properties of honey, propolis, etc., and growing their own food, right? So the current restrictions are also not aligned with the science of bees. Bees do not recognize property lines, and while they can forage several miles, their pollination benefits are strongest closest to home. Allowing responsible beekeeping in all zones would help extend those benefits across the neighborhoods and communities, so I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. You timed that perfectly. Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify? Or is there any registered speakers? Sorry.
We have 2 additional speakers, Michaela Widener, followed by Tommy Pastorella.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to give some facts on why bees...
State your name.
Oh, my name is Michaela Widener.
Thank you.
I'm just here to give some facts about why bees are so important. Bees are considered the most critical life form on Earth because they sustain global ecosystems and food supplies through pollination. They fertilize over 1/3 of the food we eat and support the biodiversity required for wildlife survival and climate stability. And that's from the UN Environmental Protection. And then agricultural dominance. Bees pollinate roughly 70% to 95% of the 107 most important global food crops. Without them, staples like apples, almonds, berries, and coffee would face severe scarcity and skyrocketing prices. Ecosystem preservation. Beyond human food, bees are responsible for pollinating roughly 70% of all plant species. This enables flowering plants to reproduce, which provides food, nesting materials, and habitats for countless other wildlife species. And I remember back when I was in 3rd grade learning about the birds that were going extinct, which was causing the flowers to go extinct out here on the Hawaiian Islands. So the next thing would be if the bees start to decline, so do our flowers again. That's a tragedy that we should try to avoid. Carbon sequestration. By keeping deep-rooted plant and wildflower communities thriving in grasslands, bees help support environments that safely store vast amounts of carbon deep underground. Because of this interconnected web of life, the Earthwatch Institute and the Royal Geographical Society have previously highlighted bees as the most valuable and vulnerable species on the planet. Threats like pesticide use and habitat loss are driving rapid declines in both managed and wild bee populations. And you can explore more of these threats and how to protect local pollinators at the Bee Conservatory, and that's from Friends of Earth. So it's not something that we should take lightly. It's something that we should take very seriously and be responsible for, because even though it is just a small insect, it has a profound effect on our diverse ecosystems. And diverse ecosystems, being healthy, is a $1 trillion industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tommy Pastorello.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'll keep it short and sweet because I don't know a lot about bees other than Tommy Passerello. I saw this in many regions such as Texas, hosting bees on agricultural rural land can qualify your property for significant tax reductions. I thought that was interesting. We should have more people that are, that would consider having beehives here in a safe, manageable way. And then another thing, native bees versus honeybees. If you want to help the environment without the intensive labor of beekeeping, consider planting native flowers and providing nesting sites for native bees, which are mostly solitary and rarely sting. Resources like I should know how to pronounce this, but it's XERCES Society provides excellent guidelines on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hart?
For the record, Bruce Hart. Beekeeping is as old as man. It's mentioned in the Bible all over. Every civilization has had beekeepers. We're very blessed. We have some of the best honey in the world. That's not just because I live on Kauaʻi and I like bees. That's a fact. Our honey, I'm wishing and have been wishing for a long time, I've been here over 50 years, that we could contribute somehow to the promotion, the advertising of the fact that we have some of the purest honey in the world. And I grew up with a dad who grew up in the Ozarks, and he used to chase bees. And that's a whole story. You chase bees because you want to find the hive. And then you're responsible. You don't take it all. That's the way people used to live. And so, this is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cycles?
For the record, Lonnie Psychos. My apologies for not having heard all the testimony. I was stuck in traffic because of an auto accident. So I don't know if economic development was here or not, but our economic development office should be the people leading this, because the queen bees are extremely valuable. The honey, the wax, those all have value. But to export from Kauaʻi agricultural product to bring new money into the island, there's little that economic development needs to do other than to promote the industry of raising queen bees. This could bring millions of dollars into private individuals having beehives and learning how to do it. My grandfather had bees. I handled bees as a child. We took honey, got the queens, had swarms. The only time I ever got stung was when I messed up. Didn't wear, hoods and nets and all that. Just knew how to handle the bees. So we all agree bees are a good thing. The reason really I came in has to do with, on page 2, the definition for flyover barrier. And so I'm very familiar with honeybees. And so my question is, why is there not a definition in flyover barrier, which there's not? There's a statement of intent. And so what actually constitutes a flyover barrier? And if I had a 20-foot tall hedge of something like mock orange that the bees will go to flower to flower to flower. So depending on what the hedge is made of determines the bees. I do not know how high bees naturally go scouting for food. And so that scientific fact ought to be included in the minimum height or the control features of what this is. But I bring this up to protect the neighbors of the people raising bees. I'm fully supportive of it. Somebody could put beehives in my yard, I'd be happy. But I don't want my neighbors losing their right of quiet enjoyment because I decided to have bees. So this is a detail that I think really needs to be addressed, is what is the actual legal meaning of flyover barrier. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify?
Good morning, council members. My name is Doug Gates. I've been a beekeeper on the island for over 20 years. I call myself a bee rescuer. I'm the one who gets called when you have bees in your house, in your trees, wherever. And I love my job. I believe that this ordinance is going to be a great thing for this island. It's going to increase the amount of beekeepers that we have. Now, what I'm hearing many different things, and there are concerns that if this bill is passed, all of a sudden there's going to be thousands of new beekeepers on the island. And there are comments from people, I don't want bees in my backyard. It's a known fact. People are afraid of bees. The reality, in my personal opinion, if this ordinance or this bill passes, we might see 50 or 100 new beekeepers on this island. We're not going to see thousands. Beekeepers are an interesting group of people, to say the least. However, we all care dearly for the health and safety of our bees. And Felicia, your example of the apartment complex, that's true. I mean, there are places on this island where you are not going to be able to keep bees because of the flyover barrier and because of the 25-foot distance. Now, one thing I will say about the flyover barrier, he was correct. There's really nothing saying what a flyover barrier is. However, to my knowledge, a flyover barrier is something to make the bees fly up. And one thing you're not going to do on your flyover barrier is you're not going to have a flowering type of plant that is going to attract the bees to the flyover barrier. Okay? Flyover barrier, in all the bees that I deal with, you know, generally they go straight out from their hive on a slow arch up. But if in places where I have flyover barriers, they go inches out from the hive, go straight up however high it is to get out. The whole object of a flyover barrier is to make the bees go up as quickly as possible. Once they go up, they don't come down until they find what they're looking for in food, pollen, or whatever. I think that this ordinance, by following what Big Island did, is great. Yeah, yes, we're going to have some alterations from what Big Island has, but I see nothing bad that can come from this. You've heard a couple of beekeepers say getting stung by bees suck. It doesn't suck.
It does.
When you get stung by a bee, when a bee stings you, now I'm not talking about when you stepped on or sat on or something like that. When a bee comes to you and stings you, it knows that you need help in that area. All right, I'm done.
No, you can come back. You can come back.
I will come back.
You're quite entertaining, so yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
You can go back. Because getting stung does suck. Anyway,
Hi. My name is Stephanie Stauber-Craig, and I have a small organic farm with my husband. The name of our farm is the Owl and Bee Farm. but we actually don't keep any bees. We are lucky enough to farm an acre that has neighbors, whether legally or not, that keep many bees around us. And we farm all kinds of things. We have like a little orchardy area, and then we farm row crops as well. And I just want to say, first of all, you know that your garden is happy when you can hear it. You know, I really do think that if we are paying attention to the fact that we are all part of a web, that you can't really have a wall to keep nature out. We should all know this because we live on Kauaʻi, right? We are in nature constantly. You can walk down Rice Street and you might get stung by a bee because there's flowering trees. Because we should be so lucky to live in a space where bees are everywhere. I think allowing more people to get involved in our food system in any way is good. I personally don't use any sort of store-bought sugar in my home ever. I buy honey from one of my best friends in a 5-gallon bucket. There is no need to buy anything. Like, we live in a place where you really can live off the food that grows here if you want to. It takes work, it takes imagination, but you can. And I do believe that honey and beekeeping is a huge way where we can stop relying so much on those dang barges. You know, I really do think that it's our job to support our local farmers, growers, and beekeepers. So I just wanted to say that it's really important for us to support people who, even if you have the smallest little backyard and you might want to start the smallest little hive ever, let's support those people that are wanting to help our food system, even in that small way, even if they're cutting their own sugar out of their family, or they're going to have a little stand in front of their house to sell the bees, teach their kids about nature. All of those things are good things, and I think we should really support it. And the whole getting stung by bees suck thing. In my farm, I am constantly surrounded by bees, like all the time. They're not mine. I'm not a bee whisperer. I don't have some sort of magical power. I have never been stung once on my farm by any of these bees. While I'm digging around, cutting, whatever, they don't bother you unless you bother them, and that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Yelena Ockman. I want to mention that it's not only honey, which actually they found 3,000-year-old in like archaeologists, which is probably the most oldest substance on earth that was produced by animal that survived. There is also bee pollen. There is also propolis. There is also royal jelly. There's also like bee wax. There's so many products that are really good for humans to consume and for immune system that could be produced from bees. And in some research, they say, like, you know, even like the stung of a bee, you know, can help with healing cancer. I'm not pro it, but I'm just saying it's not as bad. And I just mentioned, like, this conversation thing is very important for the whole community. I mentioned to my daughter a few days ago about like how like communicate as a community rather than becoming a fly. It's wonderful to become a bee because bee collects pollen from flowers, and the conscious level of awareness is like creating the honey out of flower pollen is amazing, you know. So and I'm totally pro it, and I would love our beekeepers to produce more honey and bee pollen, a bee wax for the soaps and for the cosmetic products. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else that wants to speak for the first time?
My name is Nelson Mukai, and I grew up raising bees with my dad. We had a big 30-hive farm on his land. He planted a lot of agriculture. He was known to be a farmer. You know, we love bees. You know, we used to sell the honey. We used to harvest, and we had a big milk tank that we had, and a centrifugal force to extract the honey from the combs. So I know a lot about bees, and you know, if anybody wants to ask me questions, I might have the answer. I don't know.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify for the first time? Anyone that spoke earlier that wants to testify for a second time? Max?
Okay, hello again. I'm still Max Richardson. In my previous testimony, I briefly went over why bees are good. Just to summarize, it's not just about the bee products, it's that bees help all of agriculture, or I should say most of agriculture. This time around, I want to talk about why bees aren't bad. So just to expound a little bit upon my opining that being stung sucks, what I mean is that, well, first of all, I should clarify, I got stung by a bee for the first time when I was 35, which is, I'm 35 now, so that was this year. I've never been stung by a bee in my day-to-day life. You know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm trying to make. I've never been stung by a bee in my day-to-day life. I've been stung twice by bees now, and both times I was handling a beehive, and I did something clumsy or foolish. I smushed a bee. The bees got angry. They tried to sting me through my suit, and just where the fabric is tied on your shoulders, they can sting through. So that's it. That's who's going to get stung by bees if there's bees in your neighbor's yard, is your neighbor when they're handling the hive, not you. The other thing is there's been some concern about keeping bees in an apartment complex, and on its face, I agree with that concern. That's a bad idea. You shouldn't keep bees in an apartment complex, with the caveat, maybe on the roof, if the roof is flat and safe to be on. But definitely not on your lanai. If you live in a condo, don't put bees on your lanai. That's a dumb idea, and it's also inconsiderate of your neighbors. But if we look at the proposed changes to the statute, right, if we look at the bill, the way the rules interact actually addresses that, because all it's saying is you got to be considerate to your neighbor, right? You got to build your apiary at least 25 feet away from the property line, or 15 feet if you build a fence around it, right? Like previous testifier was saying, if you build a fence around your beehive, the bees will fly up to go over the fence, and then you will never even know. Your next door neighbor could have bees in their backyard, and because it's illegal, they would build a fence around it to hide the hive, and you wouldn't know because the bees are going to fly up. You won't know they're there. If you can't build your apiary in a considerate way, then all this bill is saying is that the zoning laws aren't going to prevent you from building your apiary. Instead, this change to the statute will prevent you from doing that, because you can't build it. If you don't have a 25-foot wide backyard, you can't build it 25 feet away from your neighbor's property line. So a good example is my house. If this bill is passed, I still can't put bees in my backyard because it's too small. It'd be right next to my neighbor's fence, and I'd be a bad neighbor for putting bees there, you know what I mean? So I would still have to rent land, ag land, somewhere, or somebody else's backyard that has a bigger backyard. So the impact to crops is big and good, and the impact to humans is minimal and not that bad.
Thank you.
Oh, and if anybody has any more questions, you all know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah, we sure do. Mr. Cycles?
For the record, Lonnie Psychos. I'd like to thank the council for your patience, and I would like to thank the audience for all of your expressions regarding the subject of civics. So I'd just like to address a few things that have been said. One is people's belief that this bill defines what consideration to your neighbor is. And so to the general public watching, it is one thing to be like on a podcast and make a bunch of statements. It is a completely separate matter to create legislation. And so once again, you have in this bill a flyover barrier that you don't define. And so if it doesn't have any real meaning, why is it in the bill? You have people discussing that this bill that the bee owners will be considerate to their neighbors, And as legislators, you all know that one of the primary reasons of legislation is to protect the public from various individuals' desires, such as pollution. I can make a lot of money if I throw my waste in the river, okay? And so this, to the public, this is a very fundamental question we're asking of the council, is how to define this activity legally, not all this waha about feel-good stuff, the legal definition of what we are and we aren't going to allow. Somebody can say, hey, it's not a problem for the neighbor if I have all these beehives in my backyard. Who speaks for that neighbor? Who speaks for the person that says, I don't want this invading my right to, what is it do we have in our homes, a quiet enjoyment? That other parties do not have a right to disturb my quiet enjoyment. And that's why I'm asking about definitions versus these sayings. What is a flyover barrier? And according to the bee guys, it doesn't exist. The bee will fly as high as it has to go over the barrier. And so the definition of the barrier seems to be at odds with reality, right? You've got a directional device to make the bee fly high and not go directly into the neighbor's yard. And so put a height on this thing, 10 feet, right? You got to get a permit to build a 10-foot fence. And the same thing with the shrubbery, right? They already told us that shrubbery could attract the bees versus forcing them to fly up. So there's definitions in this.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So as far as the flyover barrier definition, you said it's not in here, or you just don't like the definition of it? Because there is a definition of flyover barrier in the bill. It means a solid wall, fence, or dense vegetation, or combination thereof that encourages honeybees to fly over rather than through the barrier.
Mike.
Pardon me. So what my observation is if the flyover barrier is by definition supposed to keep the bees out of the neighbor's yard, then flyover barrier doesn't work because bees are bees.
Yeah, because hang on. A clarifying question was asked, and the question was very simple. Do you believe that the definition in the bill is inadequate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to allow a debate on the.
And I'm not a liar, so.
And neither are we.
You've heard what I had to say.
Yeah, no, I think we got. I actually agree with the definition. We need to expand on that definition. So anyway, thank you. Anyone else that's wanted to speak for a second time?
Did I run out of my 3
Yes,
minutes?
you did. Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Thank you. Tommy Passarella. AI overview. There is no exact consensus, but Kauaʻi is home to tens of millions of honeybees across hundreds of managed and feral colonies. Kauaʻi's bees are unique because they are among the few in the world entirely free from the devastating varroa mite that plagued populations elsewhere. Kauaʻi is home to the Nalo Meli Miley native Hawaiian yellow-faced bee. These solitary non-honey producing bees are an important protected native species. European honeybees, the honey producing variety, were introduced to the islands in 1857. Because Kauaʻi lacks the varroa mite and other harsh diseases found on the mainland and other Hawaiian islands, the local bee population is exceptionally strong, healthy, and wild. Another thing is honeybees, or bees in general, they generally fly, I didn't notice, but they generally fly 6 to 100 feet. But guess how high they are able to fly, some bees? 20 to 30,000 feet, if they wanted to. They probably don't most of the time, because they're probably, they'll jump on a plane versus flying 30,000 feet. But thank you for all that you do. And honey, it's interesting that honey is one of the only things they say never goes bad. So honey, I'm going to start consuming more local honey. It's very healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that wants to speak for a second time? Come on up.
Ariel Bishop, for the record. Hopefully I can help provide kind of a general definition of flyover barrier that we've been using at the college. So there is a science to it. It's a maximum of 5 feet away from the front of a hive. It's a minimum of 6 feet tall in front of a hive, and it needs to extend outwards to the side of the hive, 2 feet in each direction. So 6 feet's not too much. So they fly straight out, they hit that, and they go up. And drone congregation areas where bees mate are very high up in the sky, and so they do actually hang out super high up there. So those are just a couple things, and I think it's a great idea to include a definition of those requirements for flyover barrier, so that everyone has that information. That was what I wanted to speak about. Thank you.
Can you send that, just your definition that you guys use at KCC?
Yes, definitely. It's a definition that you find in the science books, so we didn't invent it.
That's, I think, what Mr. Cycles was inquiring about.
Yes, and we've employed it at KCC with success. We did a construction project with the students there in front of all of our giant production hives, 24 of them. Installed a flyover barrier, which was a simple piece of netting, actually, so you could see through it. But the bees did go out and run into the barrier and flew up, and our construction team poured us a cement slab 10 feet in front of our production hives with no issues. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Aloha, Doug Gates again. One of the benefits of honeybees is many kinds of medicines that come from the honeybee. The bee venom is an amazing thing. If you're told you need to take cortisone shots, bee venom is 100 times more potent than cortisone. It works. I'm a witness to it. I went through it about 15 years ago using bee venom instead of surgery, and I got full movement back. Medicinally, honey. If you have allergies, you want to eat honey from as close to where you live as possible. And by doing that, it's going to increase your immune system. It's going to cut down your allergies because you're getting everything that you're allergic to. Pollen, excellent. We could, if we wish to, we could live on pollen and honey alone. No additional water, no additional food. It has everything that we need to survive. I wouldn't do it. You'd be on one heck of a sugar fix, but royal jelly is talked about, very powerful thing. Queen rearing is talked about. I personally don't support queen rearing. Let them do their own thing. Somebody talked about economic people. I don't think we're going to have any major, huge apiaries who are going to be sending their honey off island. To my knowledge, at this point, I don't believe there's a single beekeeper who's really doing a serious off-island sales. Robin Fisher does sell off-island in small scale, but I don't think anybody is going to sell a 5-gallon tub of honey to somebody in California because it's going to be too expensive to ship it. I guess that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we'll call a meeting back to order.
Can I please talk to Planning Director Hull for just a moment?
Okay. Is he here?
Yes?
Oh, okay. With that, I'll suspend the rules again.
Morning all, Kaua on
behalf of the planning department.
Okay, I imagine that you have reviewed this and support it.
Tentatively, we reviewed it. We don't have a position at this point.
Okay, so when we look at this item N on page 3, which I can read you to, no honey bee hive shall be located within 25 feet of any property line, except where a flyover barrier is situated. When you have an apartment complex, where is the property line?
So there's two versions of a property line. One would be a official lot line, which is a lot of record property line, and the other could be a condominium property regime line.
But if it's not a CPR, if it's just, say, a multifamily dwelling apartment, you don't have a property line between the two apartments.
You do have a CPR line between the apartments.
It's a CPR line between the apartments. So then that would be basically invalidating a permit if you had, say, 20 units on that acre. I'm just curious, because somebody could have R20 land and not have anything on it, right? So then if there's nothing on that land, or it's R20, or it's got a couple few houses, there'd be no problem in just putting apiaries there. I just that's the one thing that I'm just kind of trying to look at. If you had a dense building, like what we have next door here going up, do you see how any of this would prohibit a bunch of apiaries on it?
If there was a CPR line, and often there are on apartment complexes, the CPR lines will be within the apartment complex and around the physical structure itself, and then outside of that line are common elements, which if you have an apartment complex, generally the HOA rules associated with the apartment complex would also regulate what can go in the common areas.
Okay.
I would imagine most CPR situations for apartment complexes, they would have something either fully prohibiting apiary use, or they could potentially be crafted in a way or updated where apiary use is designated in a particular common area.
Yeah. Okay. And then just curious, aside from this, when we put in an affordable housing project, we actually CPR out every single apartment?
No, so in those situations...
I'm just trying to be able to
We're
understand.
getting away from the B bill.
But I'm really not, because...
I think he already explained what he answered your question regarding a CPR line.
We
I don't want to go into hypotheticals. This is first reading. It'll go to Planning Commission.
Okay, well, I'm just...
Planning Commission is going to dissect this bill. They're going to take public testimony, and then we'll get a bill which we will have the ability to modify. Right now, this is
I have a right
first
to
reading.
ask that question.
You did, and he answered, and now you're asking about our subdivisions and our CPRs.
Because he said there's a CPR, and when I look at these property maps, I don't see any sort of CPR in there. So I just was trying to just understand it. I don't necessarily have a problem with, I love the bill. I just want to be able to really understand what the situation is and avoid a circumstance where there's something that turns it into a bummer.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Kaina? The public testimony is done, I'm sorry. Any other questions for Kaina? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call a meeting back to order. Any further discussion? Colin?
Thank you all. I just want to speak briefly. Obviously, I'm in support of this bill, and I'm grateful that Addison reached out about working on it. It's part of my bigger package on the things I'm working on, agriculture and all the things, local value products, all that stuff. So just quickly, yes, it's a huge economic driver. I think this is a really wonderful bill for our economy and local value-added products, and obviously food production, like we've heard today. Bees die when they sting, so they don't really want to sting you. So there's that aspect of the conversation I don't think we touched. And I would encourage anybody that's nervous about this to take the apiary class at KCC and kind of experience and learn, because a lot of those fears are misplaced. And the other thing I want to bring up, I heard Xerxes Society brought up today, and the collapse of our ecological systems. And as an ecologist, I just want to emphasize that we are living through the great extinction of insects. It's called the insect apocalypse in ecological terms. And we are losing an unprecedented amount of our pollinators.
And so, you know, for me as a home gardener, I literally am out there with a brush pollinating some species of things in my backyard because we've lost the carpenter bees that pollinate the lilikoi. And so, you know, I've been trying to build habitat for them to try to encourage them back to my yard. But I just think we really need to keep that in perspective, that we are living through a massive decline in our insect population. And there's a ton of research out there that I would encourage you to follow up on. So thanks for this. Way more testimony for first reading than I expected. But I appreciate all the engagement, and I appreciate being brought in on this. Thank you, Councilmember Bulisan.
I want to say, and I know the beekeepers in the room know how supportive I am of beekeeping, and Doug the Bee Guy shows right next to mine on KKCR, and I eat plenty of his honey. So I am in full support of helping with keeping our pollinators strong and our bees strong, and in my garden, as I call it, have very active food production in it. It's like a little food forest. And I regularly walk right through the pile of bees on my basil that's next to my opening gate. I've never had a person stung. As I said, I have a child who's now a man, but who had a sensitivity. And we regularly went on field trips to apiaries and learned about bees and had bees in the yard. I understood, and we all understood, how to be around bees. And, you know, I did a homeschool at my house for years with all these bees, and nobody ever got stung in all the bee work that we did, and I'm not afraid of bees. So just when I'm asking that question about apartment buildings, is this we want to be conscious of what, you know, in case you have somebody who, as you're saying, beekeepers might be unusual people. Maybe somebody's committed to having one on their porch. So that one I think would be an issue. But yay, thank you, good job.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Bulisan?
Yeah, I just want to again thank the council for hearing this first bill here. I'm going to admit something really shameful. When I was first approached about this bill by community, I forgot to tell them that I'm deathly afraid of bees. And in this whole process of working with the community and learning about the importance of bees, learning about the practice of beekeeping, talking with the community and working with our team, I understood in that time how important bees are, and more importantly, the relationship that is necessary to foster, to help our community grow and be healthy, especially in agriculture, and then the byproduct of our economic diversity on the island. And so in that process, that fear just dissipated like the sound of when you hear the bees. It actually does now to me, like the earlier testifier, it does sound like a healthy ecosystem. When you hear bees, you really know, okay, we're in a healthy place versus, I'm afraid of being stung. And for the record, 40 years, I'll be 40 this year, and I have yet to be stung. But apparently there's some health benefits to being stung. And so, what I love about this process is that it engages community, and that this particular bill came from community and is going through community, and I'm looking forward, hopefully, for it to pass today and go back to community at Planning Commission so that community can continue to craft a healthier bill. Just today, we had a great discussion in just first reading to potentially make this even better bill. So I really appreciate the process. So thank you, everyone, for being here and testifying and working on this bill.
Mr. Connoisseur?
Yeah, I'll just say, I heard the bill was going around, but obviously only two people can work on it at a time. And Ariel actually took us out to the KCC site. Was me and Councilmember Carvalho, and I didn't know what to expect. Never really been around bees that much. I've been stung by them. More yellow jackets though than honeybees though. But I was surprised how mellow it was by the hive. We put on the suits, we did everything, and I was expecting to just get completely attacked by bees, but that wasn't the case. They just went along, did their own thing. Ariel was had us handling the stuff, and I mean, I was really surprised that they really didn't bother us that much, So that made me a lot more comfortable with the bill than I had originally thought about it. So, yeah, if anybody has questions, they should probably go and do a site visit at KCC and see how it's done, because I think it'll quell a lot of fears or misconceptions anybody might have about beehives.
Mr.
I just wanted to add on that, Errol. I mean, the educational part of it, that educational side, because a lot of people are not really comfortable in the community. But I think by continuing to educate people and have them understand, and the KCC experience was good for me. At least everything had fit for me, So, but just being able to visit that, and then the educational side afterwards, when we're in the building and kind of went over everything. So I think that's a big part. And then there's a cultural side or natural side where you're growing up, you get little beehives all over the place, but you're not sure. But there's a total positive part here that I think has to resonate and continue. So just wanted to mention that, and appreciate the visit, like Councilor Mukanashiro, and then going from there, and then hearing out in the community, some people are very afraid, but I think we just got to continue to educate, and what is a positive part of this whole discussion. So, Malo.
Mr. Cooley.
Yeah, I'm excited that we have this bill before us and that we'll get to work on this to make it the best bill that it can be. I too went out on the tour. Chair and I actually went together, and I was pretty blown away by the whole process and the miracle, the natural miracle of it all, and love the idea that it's happening here and that it should be a lot more. I love our Aina and I love food, so we gotta support the bees, and beer too.
I just have one short thing I want to add, that we didn't receive in all our testimonies, we didn't receive any opposition, and then I'm hearing that there's a lot of people who are afraid of this, and it very well might be, but I will, no pun intended, I will say on my radio program, I have many times over several years really promoted these concepts, and we've talked about the need for a bill and the need for some ability to do that. And in the program that I do in the talk radio, often I get the back and forth, and I've never had anybody say, hey, we don't want this. So I just want to say that. I haven't heard it, that people don't want it. Doesn't mean everybody is for it, but I haven't heard that. I haven't gotten a single call, a single complaint, a single point of resistance. So thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well, and I'm going to be honest. It's the reason why we don't have the opposition here and in testimony is because they don't know about it yet. I just being real, folks. The beekeepers know about it. They're here. We got tons of testimony. And if you think that it's going to be smooth sailing through this process, you're wrong. I mean, because once the public and the residential areas, and I know this because I did call one of my friends who's a retired beekeeper, and he thinks this is a bad idea to put it in residential areas. I am not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying there is opposition. We'll see opposition. So to Mr. Psycho's left already, but he had a very good question. Who will speak for the neighbors? And that's what we do. That's our job. So our job is to make sure that we get educated, like we did. That was fantastic. I was freaked out in the beginning. I really was. I had to get taped up with duct tape several times because I just so afraid of bees.
Did any of you get stung during that experience?
What?
Did anybody get stung during that
experience? No. My point is that after, with an amazing instructor, I got comfortable in that suit, and then I just learned to appreciate these bees a whole lot more, and that this whole process is incredible. It's like somebody called it a miracle. But our job is to make sure that this bill is as protective as possible for the neighbors. So I think, again, Mr. Psychos brought up the definition, and Errol read the definition, but I believe it needs to be more specific because it's subject to interpretation. And what is the scientific data? And you'll send that to us, so thank you. So for the planning department that's here, and I appreciate you being here. You didn't have to be here today, and I appreciate you being here. But this is where the planning commission hopefully will will address some of the concerns that we will be getting from the communities. I think when you're talking about apartment buildings and property lines, obviously the spacing that is required with that barrier should protect the neighbors. So, but I want to make sure that we clearly define everything in this bill, so it is not left to interpretation. That this is what you need to do. You need, and I'm not sure. I don't know anything about how these bees fly. 30,000 feet. That's bizarre. But I don't know how high they got to go, and is 6 feet enough, or should it be 10? That is a discussion that they'll have at the Planning Commission, and also when it comes back to us when they're done with it. So appreciate you guys being here.
I just want to weigh in on that, Chair, because you brought up a great point, and I meant to mention it. I also agree that there could be more specifics and a better definition, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. From what I can tell across the country, a barrier is generally a minimum of 6 feet, but often 8 feet. So if we wanted to be more cautious in residential areas, we could put a requirement of 8 feet instead of 6 feet. The definitions that I'm seeing in other places say 10 feet is like the minimum, and some places they actually require a 20-foot, which would mean that the bee hits that, goes up at least 8 or 10 feet, and then they travel for like miles, so they'll go from there. And it's significantly, there's a lot of science on it, but I look forward to having that conversation, and I just wanted to note that I agree that that barrier should be really clearly defined.
I think that and I think the Planning Commission will, because they are going to get tons of testimony from the public that they will have to address, and to keep something as broad as it is in this bill it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So, but that's easily fixed, and I think it will create a new industry for barrier netting. Just because I like the idea. It's a net. It's not like a wooden barrier or a concrete barrier. It's a barrier without flowers. Obviously, you don't want your bees hanging out in the barrier. So, a lot more work to do, but the process is in place. So I'm looking forward to it. Mr. Cooley.
Chair, can I just say one more quick thing? I really appreciated the testimony I learned. I loved hearing that if you eat honey from as close to where you live as possible, that can help with your allergies. I think we can all, everyone out there, to support beekeeping, beekeepers, and bees more by eating more honey. I don't eat a lot of honey, local honey, and I don't myself, and I will. Thank you, Chair.
All right. The motion is to refer over to the Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bolasan?
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho?
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro?
Aye.
Councilmember Kuli'i?
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. With that, can you read us into executive session, please?
This is ES 1165 pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Sections 92-4 and 92-5A4 and Kauaʻi County Charter Section 3.707E. The Office of the County Attorney requests an executive session with the council to provide the council with a briefing and consultation to discuss the status of the conveyance of Ha'ena Beach Park, TMK number 459-005-019-000, and Manini Holo Dry Cave, TMK 459-005-017-000 to the state pursuant to Council Resolution number 2025-42 adopted by the Council on November 26, 2025. This briefing and consultation involves the consideration of the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities of the Council and the County as they relate to this agenda item. And on page 5, ES 1166, pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Sections 92-4 and 92-5A4 and Kauaʻi County Charter Section 3.07E. The purpose of this executive session is for the Office of the County Attorney to provide the Council with a briefing on Friends of Mahaulepu versus Kauaʻi Planning Commission, CAAP-25-000025, Intermediate Court of Appeals, appeal from the Circuit Court of the Fifth Circuit, including the possible consequences of litigation and the Council's legal options as they relate to TMK number 441-003-004, 005, 007, 011, and 017, and TMK numbers 4-1, 005, 014, and 017, Cocoa Palms. This briefing and consultation involves a consideration of the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and or liabilities of the council and the county as they relate to this agenda item. Chair, we have two testifiers for ES 1166.
Here, registered here? Okay, with that, I will suspend the rules. They're the first speaker.
The first speaker is Judy Matola, followed by Michaela Weinert.
You're a little cool?
I'm freezing.
I don't know why today is so cold.
I'm Judy Matola. Kauai's been my home close to 40 years. And in the 70s, I worked here. I used to work for a company that brought concerts to the Dina Stadium. I don't have anything prepared. I'm going to speak from my heart. You know, Cocoa Palms was part of my life back then. You know, there weren't any parking, there weren't any lights. I mean, if there was one red light down in Kekaha at Canefields, and there was no traffic. I've always lived in the house lots or up in the homesteads. I'd bring my kids to see the monkeys. We'd get our hair done. We'd socialize at Cocoa Palms. That doesn't exist anymore. It's nostalgia. It's not happening. They have a hotel there. There's no beach. The traffic is horrendous. I've been to a lot of meetings with the contractors for Cocoa Palms, and I just feel we need something other than a hotel. We could even have a communal beekeeping on the property. That would be a great idea. A cultural center, a park. I think the people of Kauai would support working and volunteering. We did it at Lakegate. We do a cleanup every Saturday. I think we have 15 billionaires on this island. I think if we could get the money to buy that property. And it's time. It really is time. I just drive by it every day and just go, oh my God, what could be instead of a hotel? There's not even a beach there anymore. So I feel the need for a park, a cultural center. I think it would be really cool to have a communal bee thing there. So, and our keiki would love it. So that's all I wanted to say. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Michaela Widener.
My name's Michaela Widener, and it's not Cocoa Palms, it's the Valley of the Kings. This is the site, if we look at it historically, where all royalty of every Hawaiian island was born. So the fact that this has been sold and developed is offensive. It's a crime against humanity, and it's a crime against the entire Kingdom of Hawaii. And I want to advocate for the state to take it back and to give it to the Hawaiians so that they can revitalize it and rejuvenate their culture as an ahupua'a like it should be. And we can partner with the state because this is a massive amount of revenue that people are missing out on. Also want to point out that Native Hawaiians experience disproportionately higher rates of chronic illnesses and mortality compared to many other ethnic groups in the U.S. These health disparities are closely tied to historical trauma, systemic and socioeconomic barriers, and the shift from traditional lifestyles to Western diets. Native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders suffer from a number of poor health outcomes such as high rates of overweight status, obesity, hypertension, and high rates of asthma and cancer and mortality. And the thing about DNA that's really cool about DNA is it is the oldest library that we have. It's just coded information that gets passed down. So anything that your ancestors have been through, that information is stored, and then it's carried over to the next generation. And I also want to point out that Article 12, Section 7 of the state constitution has to do with Hawaiian law, and it says, the state reaffirms and shall protect all rights customarily and traditionally exercised for subsistence, cultural and religious purposes, and possessed by Ahupua'a tenants who are descendants of Native Hawaiians who inhabited the islands prior to 1778, subject to the right of the state to regulate such rights. So these lands do belong to those people. It's a crime against that. And then I want to add how allowing Hawaiians to develop this for cultural rejuvenation is going to make the state and the county money, as well as helping health. It's a $67 billion industry.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify?
For the public record, my name's Lonnie Sykos. Without pointing any individuals out, I would say to the public that there are some in this room who were at the county council meeting, however long ago it was, 15, 18 something years ago, in which the permits for cocoa palms were reapproved. And so we are dealing with this today and all of these issues today because of the unintended consequences of the action that the council took in the past. And so to the public, let this issue be a warning to you, a warning about who you elect to public office and whether or not they listen to the public about the possibility of future outcomes that the public doesn't like and perhaps even finds offensive. I hope this gets resolved well. I hope there's not a hotel built there. I hope the lands are returned to the Native Hawaiians. But these are my personal opinions and have absolutely nothing to do with what the law calls for. And I expect the council and the law to do what's lawful, and we, the public, will find out what happens in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Tommy Passarella, looking at this Reef CP, and I don't know who they are. They have a vision of being a freaking 350 hotel rooms under the Kimpton flag. Let's be real honest. Who owns that land? The Hindu monastery up in Wailua has how many acres? And a lot of it is leased from the state. From what I understand, they do an incredible job. Do they really need all that acreage? How much acres does the Hawaiian Kingdom truly own on Kauaʻi? The county owns, I think, around 1,000. The feds own around 30-some thousand, or control, I should say. That's the land of we the people. Cocoa Palms needs to be reinvented to be, that's 30-some acres. If you each had the ability to make that what you would love it to be, and you had a budget that was well within reason to make it happen, what would you do with that? I don't think any of you would make a 350-room hotel. But that's a decision you all have to make. This should be put to, we the people deserve to get that land back, and through eminent domain, you should snatch it from whoever has it now. Because these lands have been stolen. We all know the history of the Hawaiian Kingdom. I say give it back to the Hawaiian Kingdom and do the right thing. How would that be done? I'm not sure, but I would snatch that land so quick it would make their heads spin. And I wouldn't be worried about lawsuits. I would just say this is our land based on it not being proceeded in a professional, clean way. It's been sitting like that since 1992, which is nice because it just shows the speed of things getting done. I'm not sure how long the gym, this is a side note, but the gym up in Kilauea has been closed for how long? That just shows when things aren't a priority, how slow things happen. and Cocoa Palms property, the 30-some acres there, ask Elvis's family what they would do with it. Ask real leaders what they would do with it, like Brada Iz's family, like the Kahuna and Ali'i that truly represent from the 1800s. Ask them what they would do with it. We need to help our seniors. How much land actually goes to unsheltered on this island? Let's be honest. KEO is a freaking joke to me. How many houseless people could use shelter just in one of the Macy's subsections, even though it's not the right energy to have at the mall? We need to use land wisely because that's prime land right there. I say give it back to the Hawaiian Kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just going on.
If you could just state your name for the record, and then I'm not sure if you've been here before?
No.
So the green, you'll have 3 minutes.
Oh, good.
When it turns yellow, you'll have 30 seconds,
Okay.
and then when it's red, your time is up.
Okay.
Okay, so if you could just start by introducing yourself.
Hi, my name is Anna Mercer. What a lovely space. Very nice. Built from crown molding and movie seat styling. So what I think about the land is we have to fix it, yeah? We have to fix the septic. It stinks, right? That's first and foremost, finish that bridge, right? Which, how long do we think that's going to take? That septic issue over by that gas station, that stinks. And then the septic issue over at Lidgate, it stinks. Yeah. So before we even decide what we're going to do with that land, we should fix it. So which I think we've been trying to do is break down that hotel slowly, gradually, because it's got a lot of old, maybe asbestos and stuff, yeah? So we kind of got to think about the people. And then once that's all finished, then we can think about what we're going to do if we're going to build a hotel, which is such a lovely space. Didn't we all have so much fun when Elvis was around? You know, I mean, there's a lot of fixing to do first before we decide what we're going to do with that piece of beautiful property. I am going to break my anonymity, and I go to Alcoholics Anonymous every morning at Lidgate, 7 a.m., and the sunrises are gorgeous, and the sunsets on Fridays. We have an evening reflections. At 5:30 to 6:30, we talk story, and then from 6:30 to 7:30, we talk about, what we need to talk about. So it's such a beautiful space, and there's just a lot of things that need to be like that wooden park. Yeah, that's beautiful, but it needs some reinforcement. Maybe a new lacquer or some kind of, I don't know, you know what I mean? And yeah, so the septic issues, the bridge issues, that's the one space where everybody crosses over to get from the west side to the north side, right? Pretty much, unless you go up and around. But yeah, we have to, because it could be another windy thing, and then, so that is structural and sewer and trash before we think about having another bypass, right? I hear might be a circle thing, bypass by Healing Horses. So Healing Horses, what an amazing. I work for Healing Horses. I work for Karen Stoll. We do a lot of healing, trauma, neuroplasticity, quantum entanglement. So we have a lot of healing and fixing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Sure.
My name's Michaela Widener, and I just wanted to talk about how much money we could make if we do work with the Hawaiians in getting eminent domain and transferring it over and working with them to do an off-pua'a. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, a landmark report at the Global Summit in Perth in Australia highlighted how Indigenous tourism is projected to contribute $67 billion in global economy. And the report showcases the sector's role in driving economic growth, particularly in remote regions, and its vital contribution for cultural preservation and community empowerment. So Kauaʻi really does stand at this precipice where if we take whatever legal action that we can to help make this happen, we could set an example of how working with the indigenous community is the way to create a good touristic economy for the future of the entire Hawaiian Kingdom. We could set the example of how indigenous revitalization is money-making. Not only is it good for the environment and good for the people, it's also good to line the pockets of the state and the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll call a meeting back to order. The motion is to go into executive session. Roll call.
Councilmember Pulasan.
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Aye.
Councilmember, motion? There is a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I entertain a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Sorry, thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Bolasan.
Aye.
Councilmember Carvalho.
Aye.
Councilmember Cowden.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Kaneshiro.
Aye.
Councilmember Kuli'i.
Aye.
Council Chair Opozo.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. 10 minutes, and we'll report into executive session chambers. Thank you. Carol some time.
Hey, Carol, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am.
Call the meeting back to order. Mr. County Attorney.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tyler Saito, County Attorney. The council has concluded its executive session on items ES 1165 and ES 1166. For the purposes stated on the agenda, discussions must be kept confidential at this